my fellow realtors. We are here with the Real Stuff Show. And today we have this beautiful lady here with us, the future guest. Gonna know everything about her summer Sawaya. Right?
Sawaya. But
Sawaya.
that was close.
Sawaya.
That's how everyone pronounces it.
Sawaya.
Love it.
Sawaya.
Sawaya. That was
Sawaya.
Yeah, that was
Sawaya.
good.
Yeah, because I don't know why I have two ways.
It does. Sawaya.
I have written in two different ways in my notes here. I'm so sorry.
What is the
that.
background of Sawaya?
Lebanese.
Lebanese.
Yes. So my grandfather's from Lebanon.
Shout out to my Lebanese friends.
Yes, let's
Mehdi,
go.
if you're
Love
listening,
it.
my friend, my Lebanese brother. I love you. I love you.
Not my brother.
So welcome. And today we have Linda Hoyt as well as a guest. And one of our panelists, you know. So she's going to be a host with us. My fellow friend, Jay Granieri here
Hello.
on my side. And me, Augusto Alagia, the Captain Painter. So, and let's start for this beautiful show with this beautiful lady. She has a lot of things to tell us today. Some secrets of the real estate industry.
Oh, boy.
Summer, are we doing good?
Yes. Great. Happy to be here. Very excited.
This is our first time with those type of setups of podcasts and shows now.
Yes. This is like the most legitimate one I have done, and I'm very excited.
This is the real stuff. This is
This
legit.
is the real stuff.
We're
Yeah.
Very high level right now. Very high level. Setting the bar.
Yeah, and then that's always interesting to show you and to tell you a little bit what about is the show, right? So basically the idea here is to create this beautiful and authentic place to discuss like real stuff about the real estate industry. And I'm very happy to have you here, and it's going to be amazing.
Yes.
So I know that you come from Buffalo, right? In New York, a small city, a small town. Can you tell me a little bit more about this? Tell a little bit of background.
Yes.
How it was your life there.
So
when you were-
I say Buffalo because I'm from a very small town south of Buffalo called Olean that no one would ever know.
Oh, my God. I love that place.
Right? It's amazing. I love cows. They're amazing. So yeah, I grew up in a very small town. My grandfather owned a business there. So we owned a restaurant. So small town mentality. That's how I grew up. And then, like I was telling you earlier, my dad one day, after I graduated, he's like, all right, you're the baby. You're graduating high school. You're going to college here. I'm moving to Key West, selling the business and moving to Key West. And I was like, oh my God, midlife crisis. Like,
Do not leave me in Buffalo, Dad.
I was like, oh my God. I know. I had already committed to college in Buffalo. And I was like, why couldn't you have done this before? I want the sunshine. But yeah, so that was my first kind of entrance to Florida.
Very cool.
And it should be very calm there as a city, as a town. Tell me a little bit of what is the, when you get inside this mold. I'm an immigrant, right? So I came directly to Fort Lauderdale. So probably it's very different. Like probably it's a completely different country there. Tell me a little bit more the mentality that people has there. How they. How they approach life is a little bit slower. It's like exciting. How they are.
They wear more clothes, I can tell you that, than Brazil.
Yes, definitely.
And then here in Miami too, right?
You will never see a bikini wax, a Brazilian bikini wax in Buffalo.
That did not exist there. I'll tell you that. It did not exist. Yeah, I mean, great place to grow up. Like amazing place to grow up. Very small town feel, super safe. Like you play outside all day long. You know what I mean? It's just like the American family hometown, like a Hallmark movie stuff. Beautiful place. But yeah, I mean, it's very simple-minded. Maybe we had 2 realtors in the whole town. So that was never a career for me. It was either you owned a business, a printing shop, a newspaper, a restaurant, something small.
The local feel.
Local feel, yeah. Or you were an accountant, you were a doctor. Like there was really nothing, just, the typical, you go to college, you get a job, and that's life. And that's really all I knew.
Marry your high school boyfriend.
Exactly. Marry your high school boyfriend,
okay.
move on, and this is it. And that's what people are doing there.
That's very interesting. You have a love in high school that you thought, I should marry this guy.
Of course. Didn't we all? We're still really, really good friends. So he's actually going to be an orthopedic surgeon. So he did follow the route.
Okay.
He's the Buffalo orthopedic surgeon.
He's the Buffalo orthopedic surgeon. Yes.
When it was because I don't know if you know about me, but I'm a yoga teacher too, and I dropped law school to become a yoga teacher. And I remember when I was doing this crazy training about yoga, and one of my colleagues there, he told me, Augusto, I don't want to have this 9 to 5 hour time and, buy a house and call it a life, right? So he came back to me by then, and I was like 18 years old. I became a yoga teacher. I completely changed my life. But it was very interesting to have this kind of position, and I remember until now this how strong he was in his opinion. And I think you passed through a little bit this too, right? So you were in a small town and you saw something different. In my case, was yoga, which was completely different type of industry and profession. But you were a little bit a lifestyle, right?
Yes, like, you know, obviously growing up, that's what I thought I was meant to do, you know, work hours in the hospital, or that was my goal, to be a doctor. And my single-minded thought, I guess, never really changed because of my environment. But once I saw the lifestyle in Florida, and once, you know, my dad made the move and I spent time down here, I was like, oh my God, like there are so many other ways. Yeah, a whole new world. There's so many other ways to live versus the 9 to 5 or being locked down. And I was like, I have to get out of this cage of a thought.
Right.
And that's where, you know, I got into diving and I got into yachting, and it really opened my eyes to there's so many different ways to live life. And like you with the yoga thing, like thank God we did this, because I couldn't imagine working that 9 to 5 life.
And I'd like to point out something. She humbly says she got into diving. We're looking at a world-class diver here. Spear fisherman, fisherwoman.
Yeah, spear fisher woman.
She puts the wall, men.
Person, exactly.
A person. I mean, she is legit.
I can imagine that she dropped the health and to become a doctor because of this.
Yeah.
Do you know this?
That's following your passion. That's following your passion.
I
right
know.
there. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, like medicine. When I,
Yeah,
you know, I was in college, that's what I wanted to do. I was in biology and exercise physiology. You know, I thought my natural path would be to PT, and then I switched to dental, and then whatever. But when I moved to Florida and I got, you know, serious into the lifestyle there, and I realized like, oh my God, I don't need to, you know, I don't need to go to med school, or I don't need to be a doctor to fulfill my dreams. And I started diving, and I was like, oh, I'm absolutely not doing anything but a career that will allow me to do this whenever I want.
I think the keys have that effect on people. They just they ruin the any chance of you actually becoming like a professional and just enjoying like the lifestyle. Right?
They're like, what? This is too easy.
I never want to do anything.
People like their lives.
Yes.
Oh my God, I need to figure that out. So yeah.
That's great. Guys, if you're following this show, we're going to talk about the luxury industry as well. Okay, so stay tuned because she's going to tell everything that she's doing right now to get into this. But coming back to the spear fishing, I love to know experiences, right? So that's what I want to see from you. Tell me your first approach in diving. What do you feel? How it was? You know, with who you were. What was the sensation? Because I dive already. Like one time, it was so amazing, like a type of meditation. If I want to translate it to yoga, tell me a little bit your first time doing like diving, how it was an experience.
Yeah, I guess it's similar to the feeling of yoga, where your whole body and your mind is completely relaxed, and that's like how you want to dive. But that's not how I started, because obviously I didn't know what I was doing, and I was like so chaotic. And I remember the first time I went diving, I was like, I'm in the ocean in 2,000 feet of water right now. Like, this is kind of crazy. But the second I was in the water, and I have a swimming background, so I'm pretty lucky that I was comfortable in the water. But yeah, my first time diving and my first time spearfishing, I was like, this is the best thing in the world. I want to spend more time underwater than I do above water any day, all day. So it was full addiction at that point, full addiction.
That's pretty cool. Linda, have you ever dived before?
A little bit, but not to that extent. Yeah.
No?
A little bit.
Do you like it?
A little scuba diving, a little snorkeling. Yeah, I like it. Definitely.
That's pretty cool. I love it. I love this idea. But then more than this, because you were like diving and spearfishing, right?
Yeah, it's a different feel. And I love scuba diving. I've done it a few times, but free diving is like, that's my jam.
That's a whole different sport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Come back a little bit to only to make your hero journey, you know, when you were there and you were like bringing here and your father say, hey, we are going to Key West. You know, when you have those first experiences, tell me a little bit more about how did you feel in the city, there's different lifestyles. My buddy Jay here, that's lifestyles change lives, right? So what happened there?
Yeah, I would say, and I think my dad, literally every day, you can ask him, every single day for making that change, because I see a lot of people doing exactly what I would have done if I stayed. And kudos to them, that's amazing. I love it there. Like, they're living amazing lives. But I never fit into that mold, and I knew I didn't, and I knew that I wanted something more. And I think the move to Florida allowed me to have that, where I'm seeing these different lifestyle changes and I'm seeing people excel in other areas versus accounting and being a doctor or a teacher. And just the way of thinking now is just completely different. And I couldn't be more grateful for that.
So, I mean, what I love about that, and I'm kind of a girl dad myself, right? So I got a little girl, and I think from just like the way you smile and you talk about this, right? Like I see like your dad basically you're the baby.
Yep.
He's like, listen, at this point in time, whatever you want to do, I'm going to let you do and find yourself down here in the Keys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. He is like, every day I had these crazy ideas and he's like, yes, go for it. That's amazing. Let's go. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the dumbest idea ever.
You're like, I don't have to go to work. I can go out and just spearfish all day. Yeah. Like, I love you. Go ahead.
He's like, oh, that's really cool. There's no sharks in there, right? I'm like, absolutely not. There's never sharks. I'm safe.
But how about his feelings, related to that you were dropping one of your dreams, which were like going to medicine or become a doctor or something like that? What was this conflict? Did they have any conflicts with this or not?
I think ultimately my whole life, he's always just been like supportive of what I want to do. So when I wanted to get into medicine, he was super supportive, wanted to do anything that I wanted to do, wanted to provide anything he could, resources he could in that field. Once I got here and he saw, the kind of passion and lifestyle change, he was like, oh my God, she loves this. Like, what can I do to help her succeed in this? And that is, I mean, ultimately as a parent, you just want your kids to be happy. Yeah. And I remember the day I told him, I took my DAT, my dental exam, and I wanted to get into dental school. And I took it and I did really well. And I was like, Dad, this just doesn't feel genuine. Like, it doesn't feel like something I want to do. I can't imagine. Yeah, it was like, I can't imagine. I love learning, but I can't imagine going to school for this long and being locked down. Like, what if somebody calls me to shoot Wahoo and I can't go? I'm like, what am I going to do?
That would be a tragedy.
It's tragic. I was like, what am I going to do?
Right.
So he's like, just figure it out. Just do what you have to do. Figure it out. You have already had this lifestyle change. Like, I know you work hard. You're going to push for it. You're going to make it happen and just do it.
Yeah, but probably he was having this type of approach because he saw that you were a very, very hard worker as well, as much as intelligent and smart. So, because like something that have to know, guys, because that time she was doing a double job, right? Doing spearfishing during the day and being the bartender, right, during the night.
Oh yeah,
correct?
It was like 24 hours. I would work. I would go in for my shift at 8 p.m. I'd get done at midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. Wake up at 5. Spearfish all day and then do it again. Obviously, oh my God, I wish I was young like that again. And that's what I would do. And he just saw like, okay, obviously, if she's going to put the time in like that, this is something that she loves.
And that's very interesting because it depends a little bit of the, what is the background of your parents, because you're the background of your father. He's an entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. So he have been hustling and trying to build business and stuff. So probably it would be a little bit more difficult if your father was a doctor, right?
Yeah, I think with him having that entrepreneurial spirit as well, he supported it and he saw like, listen, anything that you're going to do, as long as you work hard for it and you work hard at it, I support it.
And it did, because you took the spearfishing to like a whole new level, correct?
Yeah. I would say I got lucky because I got in with a really great group of divers who, taught me a lot. And I just had these unbelievable experiences. Like, nobody gets to go shoot blackfin tunas behind a shrimp boat, their first 2 months of diving.
Give us one of these stories. Give me like
I got
the mega fish. Like, there's got to be some kind of story behind this.
Oh yeah, no, there's so many. So he was asking me. Yeah. So my biggest fish I've ever shot is 107-pound yellowfin tuna.
107 pounds. I'm trying to put that in relation.
Bigger than her.
That's about you.
Yeah. It was wild. It was wild.
About the size of Linda.
Exactly, and that was, just an incredible experience. But I'm very competitive, so that's why.
How do you bring 107-pound tuna into a boat by yourself?
Not easy.
It's weightless in the water, so you just kind of.
Yes. It's like, you shoot the fish and it's connected to a line, but then the fish disappears. And it disappears with a float, and you're like, oh my God, I hope it comes back because I really want that fish.
Wow.
And you're swimming as fast as you can after it, and it's like this crazy, like intense fight. And we were in Louisiana at the time, and there was like 8-foot seas. So it was so bad, like really, really rough, like roughest day I've ever been.
Yeah,
on.
because like you're not out there all day, like when it's just like what we picture, like a postcard, like just nice, sunny, flat. Like, you know, you're actually because I've done triathlons where you can't go out certain. They bring you in.
Yeah,
but you're out there in the deep. You're in the deep
yeah.
water. It doesn't
We
matter.
had one day to dive in Louisiana, and it happened to be like the worst day of the year. And the guy was like, "Listen, we have to cancel the charter." And I was like, "We are not canceling this charter. We are not."
Wow.
Canceling this. Yeah.
Okay.
So we ended up going, and I think the captain cried at one point because it was so rough, and the boat was like sinking because the bilge pump broke. But that's beside the point. But yeah, I mean, it's just this like 40-minute fight of just pulling the fish up, and you're like, "Oh my God, my legs are gonna fall off."
Were you afraid? Were you like?
So I'm lucky in the sense that I've never felt afraid in the water because I'm comfortable. But now thinking back on situations I've been in, I'm like, oh my God, why would I ever?
I could have died.
Yeah, like what was I thinking?
Yeah, can you imagine, guys? You are attached to like 100 pounds, your size. Fish attached to them because you have a rope between you and them. You are
In 8-foot
pulling-
swells.
Yeah.
That's a whole other different level.
It was
Yeah.
madness.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, congratulations.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
And something that's very interesting because a lot of people they get coming back to the lifestyle, decision and the experience of the lifestyle. A lot of people they get passionate or they get a little bit convinced because of the money or the glamour of the lifestyle. And it was not your case. You were passionate with a very, very simple lifestyle, which was fish for your life, fish and sell the fish and then working as a bartender. So it's very interesting to see this difference in between how did you get to know Key West and Florida and stuff like this,
Yeah, it was a very, very beautiful and simple life at the time. It was, fresh fish every day, super sustainable living, just pure bliss all the time. And I think when you find a passion like that, like you will do anything in your life to sustain it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why you chose to go into real estate with angry buyers and sellers, right?
Exactly.
Okay, I just want to make
Exactly.
sure. Just want trying to segue into like
segue into the
peace and serenity, angry buyers and sellers.
Yeah, exactly.
And that duality.
goes together.
That duality is very interesting because in Key West, as here in Miami, you can see both of the worlds, right? You were having a natural life. You're coming to Florida to have this natural life, but you were probably seeing people living out of like a lot of money in yachts and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
By them in Key West because you have those two worlds. How we were managing this?
Yeah, I mean,
have any kind of I don't know, dirt proposition or something like this that happened to you when you were there, like being beautiful and being athletic? Tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Buffalo, we had like lake boats. I had never seen like a center console or a sport fishing boat or a yacht. So coming to Florida, and it's funny because when I would go to Key West every school break, I would never go on anyone's boat because my dad was always like, what if they take you out in the middle of the ocean and kick you off or, just crazy dad stuff.
Right.
And I was like, you're right. That's sketchy. You're right. And then when I finally moved there and decided to stay for a little bit, and that's when people would say, hey, do you want to come out on my 85-foot Viking? And I'm like, oh my God.
Yes, I do.
Sweet.
Yeah,
It's a
I'm
sweet
like,
boat.
what could
Yeah.
like I'd never seen money like that
Yeah.
because in my hometown, the people who make the money are the doctors, and but here it's like
They tainted you. Is what
yeah,
happened.
they tainted me. Like that, they took luxury
turning back.
for me to a whole
Right,
new level.
right,
Like
right.
there's no coming back after that.
Right. You're like, oh, Wahoo, what? Sportfish boats?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Why not?
Yeah, right.
Just-
But you were at this time still trying to figure out your way, right?
Yes.
And then tell me a little bit more. So after that, what happened? You were spearfishing and you decide back to go to college. How it was a little bit? What
Yeah,
happened?
it was a time of just, what, I'm young. Let me just live this life as long as I can. I love it. Like, let me dive every day. We were selling the fish, we're making great money. I was bartending at night, making great money. So it was just fun. But then you get to a point where you're like, okay, Key West is small. Where could I go and still live the same lifestyle, but, be in a little bit of a better scene? And that's when I moved to Boca first. So I was saying my ex-boyfriend who got me into diving moved to Boca. He went back to school and it was kind of like this transitionary period for me. Like, okay, maybe I do something, but this is where my mind changed. Okay, maybe I do something that allows me to do the things I love. Like I'm not gonna, yes, I can still be a doctor and yes, I can still go back to school because I'm in the environment for that now. But I've learned so much and there's so many other ways to do this that maybe I get into something like yachting. And that's what I did.
That's awesome.
You know, guys, pretty crazy,
transition.
right?
Yeah.
Spearfishing to yachting and
That goes
selling
together.
yachts.
Yeah,
She was
it
on
was
the yachts. Now she's gonna charter the yachts.
exactly. It felt like a natural transition.
Do you know what I love about though the way that you've kind of given us your timeline is like everything, although it seemed natural, I think just flowed with like your decision process as well. I want to leave Buffalo to be in the Keys. She goes down the Keys, and then everything just develops around that. I want to go from Yahoo fishing onto luxury yachts, and it just just magically happens.
Away we go.
And then
Yeah.
now you're like from transitioning with the Keys to Boca, and you're like luxury properties. Why not?
No friction.
Why not?
You know, it really,
total sense.
Right.
yeah, it was like just a pure.
You just will it to
beautiful
happen.
path. Yeah, exactly. I know. It's like
That's great.
Yeah, it was.
You're moving with the flow, right?
Yeah,
a little
that's.
bit.
I guess it's just when you bring just flowy energy. It just,
Well, you are good energy
Sure.
for sure. Something that is for sure.
That's pretty cool. And what do you think about, I know that coming back in time, you were a swimmer, right? And
Yes.
you were a pretty good swimmer. A lot of discipline associated to the sports and to be athletic and to be at this point. Did you brought something in your life that you learned back then? Tell me a little bit more, because one element that Linda has too, it's like she loves sports, and you did marathons, right?
It's run marathon.
Yeah, and that's something that's a very good indicator. And here the show is to find out what is the elements for success.
Right. Right.
And I would love to see a little bit what you think, what is your approach about that. Like,
And you were kind of like the little engine that could too.
Yeah, I
like
am.
I remember
I am,
you were
'cause I was like-
you were adopted.
Yeah, I was adopted.
And so I think there was something there that you were kind of like, and I think when you were telling us your story, it's almost like you were like there to prove yourself that like you can,
yeah, I mean,
you can
not,
do
probably not
this.
intentionally, but
Yeah.
it kind of turned out that way. I've always been an overachiever, same as you. I mean, I see a lot of the same similarities in us, and like anything I went after, I always did, and I was never afraid to try something and step out of my comfort zone. I kind of thrive on that, and people telling you can, I'm like, oh yes, I can.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Same mentality.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
Birthday in
I
January.
love that.
yeah, December.
Wait, what?
23rd.
Of Capricorn?
Yes.
There you go.
We knew it. We knew it.
that's interesting, guys. Like Capricorn people, they make
Yes.
success in the real estate, right?
Yeah. It is
Make
so
it
true.
dawn. Yeah.
Like disciplined, hardworking, overachieving. I'm
Yeah.
not like big into the signs or anything, but sometimes I think there's something to be said.
It's gotta be something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you of course, like we consider you a successful person, you should consider yourself too. What would be the elements? If you have to say, Augusto, I have like those 3 tips, those 3 things that I think it was like a very strong elements that I have that made me be like do all those transitions in those like this frictionless way that you have. Can you tell us a little
Yeah,
bit more?
I
Like,
mean,
give me.
all of us come from like a sporty kind of competitive background with the marathon running, the triathlons. I think at a young age, that's just an implemented thing where you just feel like you have to have structure, and you have to, passion number 1. Passion, like you love running, you love swimming, biking, running. Crazy, you're crazy. But yeah, if you're passionate about something, I think that's really like you're gonna take it to the end. And it's like we're similar in the sense of you set your goal and then you just do it. There's no other option. And I think that's how I just live my life is like I get this idea and I'm like, well, why can't I do it? It's never a why can't I? It's like, oh, I'm gonna do that. Easy.
But there's a debate that some people they say, no, I was born with this. Like Linda defends a little bit this, right?
I think so. Don't you agree? Like as a kid, there's a trend in my life. I think there's probably a trend in your life. Like I was always an overachiever. I always did more than anybody else. I didn't realize it at the time. I always had that mentality. It wasn't like I was competing against other people. I was competing against myself. I was like, this is what I want to do. I didn't look around because I always said like in real estate, nobody's paying my bills but me. It doesn't matter what
Right.
anybody else
Exactly.
is doing.
Exactly.
What I'm doing. So I never measured myself. I think it's also self-defeating to measure yourself against other people. But I think that I just did the best I could do for me.
Exactly.
So
and I think
it's the
that's
same with you.
We're so similar because I always feel like, especially in the day and age of like social media and everything, it's like so easy to compare yourself to other people. But I've just never thought like that. Like it's always just been my path. And I love everybody else's achievements and goals and I support everything. But like that means nothing for me. It's just my path.
You still hold that like that it's interesting because the Keys are kind of a small Florida kind of mentality, and Buffalo is a kind of like a small call it Northeast Midwest mentality, and I think that humbles you, and I think you've kind of kept that trait as well too. Which you were around all these people all the time with this like high-end yachts and stuff like that, but you really didn't acknowledge that until someone just said, hey, come on here. And you're like, all right, why not? But it was always around you.
Yeah. Oh, it's just here. It's always around, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just, you see it every single day, where before it's like, I didn't grow up like that. I'm like, okay, cool. You have a little tiny lake boat and inboard. This is so cool.
But that's probably why it's part of your success trait is that people see a side of you that they know is genuine.
Yeah.
And you kind of
exactly.
And also to my point, when we were talking last time and I said like it's in you, I mean, we're obviously two different generations and same kind of trait. So it's like, that's why I always think it's kind of is in you. It doesn't matter what generation you're from, because you are in a different, like you said, social media is everywhere. It's so different than when I grew up. There was none of that. Like the telephone was attached to the wall when I was a kid. So there were no computers. So it's like, it's really how you're made up. But it transcends generations.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's something you're just like born with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great, guys. So now we're gonna stop a little bit and do our news.
Oh,
with
boy.
Jay Granieri.
Oh, man.
So
All right. Ladies, get ready because we got a tough one for you
news,
right now.
news.
News.
We love the news.
So let's talk about this. So Florida Realtors published an article, and it's talking about the buyers that are coming from out of state. And what was really interesting, and I'd love to get your opinions on this, Florida, out of the top 10 metro areas in the country to move to, Florida had 5 of the best cities in the country, not just the state, but in the country.
We're wonderful.
Of course. Yeah.
So I'd love to hear your perspectives about kind of on a business perspective of, are you seeing this? Where are you seeing the out of state buyers coming from?
So guys, if you're in Florida, applause for you. If you're doing business in Florida, applause for you. A lot of wealthy things for you.
Take it away, Summer. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it left and right. I'm seeing it more so than, I guess, local buyers. We've seen a lot of people come from New York, a lot of people come from California, Canada, everywhere, and now we're seeing Europe, buyers from Italy. So I think people really see the value in Florida, and I think there still is value. I know a lot of people are, thinking that because the prices are so high, there's no value, but I always tell people like it's time in the market, not timing the market. And I think everybody right now is just Florida. I mean, how could you not?
Now, are the buyers that are coming here are in, and this is kind of segues to the lifestyle that we're talking that you've kind of created around yourself. Are you seeing that buyers are attracted to what you represent as an individual, right? Because we're all trying to find our own individuality. And, I'm kind of an Instagram stalker on your lifestyle, right? So like, are people, if I were coming from another state and I wanted to get involved in, the world of water sports, are you getting people reaching out to you?
Absolutely. And that is why, social media is so huge these days, is like as superficial as it can be, if you're using it for the right purposes as business or something, or to portray this amazing lifestyle that you're living, it's like other people are attracted to that. Mm-hmm. So, I have tons of DMs or tons of people reaching out to me asking like, wow, okay, I see that you're from New York and you've done this. Like, how did you do it? What was your kind of transition with it? And like, is it possible for me maybe to buy something down there? And I get that all the time. And it's a fun conversation, obviously,
That's
to
awesome.
talk about, because I could talk about Florida all day.
Right. And it's a
Great
global
niche for you too.
Yeah.
Coming from New York and making that transition, and you're showcasing it in your social media, and it makes it more feasible for people to be able to do it themselves. And you're young, so it's like.
And what about you, Linda? Are you finding maybe through your years of experience, like the networks from other states, from other agents?
Oh yeah. I mean, I do get a lot of referral business from all around the country, which is great. I have a lot of reviews, so that like people read your reviews. That's another thing. They read it, and they that's your best advertisement, is other people talking about doing business with you. So I get a lot from different states. I have somebody from North Carolina that just referred me, a seller here actually, who's staying here, moving into another property. But yeah, all across the country, I get people who are like, I have people coming from here, they're coming to Florida. I mean, it doesn't get old.
Yeah, that's something that I would like to see your opinion about that. You three, I would like your individual opinion. Why do you think Florida is growing compared to the other states? Because something we have here, and I have some friends, like some business people that have business, and they're saying, I don't want to be in California or in New York anymore, right? You call it a blue state, right? if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's
So
very
we're not trying to get too much polemic, guys, but getting this.
That's the controversial.
I would like to see what is your 2 cents. Do you think it's better to be in a blue state or in a red state right now? And why people is coming to Florida?
I'll let the girls answer that one first.
I just think obviously the tax benefits, and I think we're just such a such a great environment for business because we have so many people here, because we have so many people coming here. I think obviously the power of that is huge, especially if you're looking at it from a business standpoint. All of these CEOs are moving their company here.
But that's why they're moving from New York. Why they stay? But
Tax
let me
benefits.
really ask this, because moving from New York, what's happened there? No, really, because a lot of people, they stay like 20 years. Why now? Why you are moving now, right? Or why you moving entire business to Florida now? What's happening? And
I think COVID was a big transition for people.
That's
People
interesting.
they had to work from home. They were stuck in their properties. You're up in New York and other places. You can't leave your house because it's freezing cold or bad weather. And here we were still, even though you weren't, you could still go out and take a walk and be outdoors within the, and so I think people's mindset changed about what was important to them, where they wanted to be. They want to live their lifestyles. You can work from home. You can work anywhere. So if you can work from anywhere, why wouldn't you want to work in Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah, quality of life.
I mean, definitely a higher corporate taxation rate, definitely a higher real estate taxation rate. And if you think about, the ultra luxury, which I think is what we really see a spike down here on, is that the ultra wealthy have come down to South Florida, and just in recent news, Miami was noted as the most wealthiest county in the United States now. It's literally beat out New York, it's beat out California for the ultra wealthy.
That's great.
And if you think about you coming from California, you're coming from New York, and you're getting hit with an extra 5%, 10% on your taxes. I mean, you're talking about an astronomical amount of money.
That's great. Let's go to our sponsors, right, Jay? You have to announce our sponsorship on advertisers here.
Well, I'd love to give a shout out to a very special sponsor of mine. It's the Captain Painters. And the Captain Painters...
One second, Jay, before we start doing this. Linda, thank you very much.
I have to run.
Linda,
you have to run, right?
It's been a pleasure,
Mom
as
stuff?
My daughter's engaged. I have to go tour a venue for my daughter.
Awesome.
Okay,
Congratulations.
Engaged, finally. They're very difficult to get engaged right now, so applause for this. And it was not Tinder, guys. It was not Tinder, I think. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Eventually it was. But anyways.
Young love.
That's great. Bye, Linda. It was good to see you here. Bye-bye. So coming back to the advertising.
So a shout out to the Captain Painters. Now, the Captain Painters I have had the pleasure of working with for the last 3 years. And not only what I love about them, not only obviously they do painting, but they also do a lot of interior renovation work as well too. And the unique proposition that the Captain Painters really, I think, that they instill in the client side of the business is that they treat your home, and it's a kind of a tagline that they've developed, like a temple. And to me, I think that adds a lot of culture to their personality, because when you get a normal trades person that kind of comes in there, they're there to do the job and not really, in a sense, service the client. And when you talk about interiors, you're talking about customization, you're talking about design, and I really feel very comfortable when I recommend them to a job, because they really come in there and they look at the big picture, not just the job itself.
That's great, guys. So if you have any painting job, if you're a realtor and you have any painting job, look for the Captain Painter. Captain Painter, thecaptainpainter.com. That's great. Thank you, Jay. So right now, let's go to the second block, which is, guys, you were waiting for this, right? Luxury market, you know?
Boy. I told her she was tainted.
Now we're gonna have Summer tells everything. What was the transition from being a spearfisher woman to being a realtor, right? Let's go a little bit. So you come to Boca, right, Summer, and then from Boca you saw a little bit a different type of approach, and you were a little bit more open to the to the money, right? Eventually, to the good things of life.
She didn't smile that much when she talked about Wahoo, so I'm a little concerned now.
Ooh, no,
So tell me, and then you come to Boca, and you came because of love, right?
Yes. Oh. Yeah, it was very nice.
That was very nice.
Yeah, it was very nice, yeah.
But was a limited time, right?
Yes, limited time.
She's broken two hearts now. I got the orthopedic guy, and I've got the fishing guy from both. We cannot right now are crying at listening to this.
Can we count in our hands how many hearts did you broke?
Yes, those two. Maybe more.
All right.
We'll have to ask them.
That's great. So tell us a little bit. I know that you went to you start doing sales, and then you came to Boca. You didn't have anything, right? So you didn't have any plan. So it just came because of love, and it's very adventurous from you.
Oh yeah.
And you're an adventurous person. So tell me a little bit more this transition and then how it worked.
Yeah. So I had come from Key West to Boca, which is good, different, same but different. It's a different lifestyle. It's a little bit more structured, which I liked. Key West was not as structured. Boca, you're coming into like a more sophisticated environment. And with that change, I took like a good transitionary 5 months to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And in those 5 months, I traveled, of course. And I did, China, Thailand, the whole, South Pacific, and it was amazing.
Can I segue real quick? Because I'm not quite sure I know exactly how I'm trying to look at your timelines and figure out your age, because you do a lot of soul searching and traveling and finding yourself out and discovery. I'm putting you at somewhere like 40, 45, 50 right now. So
I jam-packed a lot.
You did.
Like 6 years of life.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just had to point that out. I was trying to do the math and it just wasn't adding up, but go ahead.
That's very interesting, because sometimes, even for me and for you too, I'm 100% sure that time is very personal. Sometimes you have so much experience. Say, man, it's like I lived like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm 95.
Yeah, that's very interesting. But anyway.
All right, soul searching China, go.
Yeah.
Soul searching China. So it was just a time where, I had done great in Key West, saved a lot of money, given myself the time to really like decide what I wanted to do, decide how I could really position myself in life to do what I wanted, like I said before, to follow that passion. And so I traveled, did the traveling thing, loved it, obviously. But when I got back, I was like, okay, it's time to get serious again for like a month.
That's awesome.
And that's when I got into yachting, and it kind of just fell into my lap again. My friend was a captain for a private yacht, a 75 Princess, and he called me and was like, listen, I need someone to help me with this. Like, I don't want to hire just a normal stew. I need somebody I can stand for 3.5 months, because that was going to be the first little stint. Was 3.5 months.
For how long you knew him?
Probably like 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, very old friend, right?
Yeah, very old friend.
I know this guy 6 months from my father. I'm gonna be in 3 months in a boat with him, and it's gonna be great. Very safe.
Awesome.
Let me just remind you that her father was concerned about you being in a boat for like 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
So, right,
Now
you're gonna be
I'm
gone for like 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was just I was like, you know what? This could be my next thing. Let me just do it, and it's gonna be super exciting. And it was during right before COVID. So nothing was really going on in the world anyways, kind of things were shutting down. It was like that weird transitional period. And I was like, okay, this is great. Let's figure this out. Sure, I can work on a yacht. I've never done it before, but it sounds like fun. And that's what I did. And disastrous at first and then amazing. Disastrous only because I had to cook every meal, and I mostly was mastery of cereal before that.
Yes. And probably some eggs.
That's awesome.
Eggs were rough for me.
Yeah, okay.
That's awesome.
So yeah, going from that to then having to cook full 3-4 course meals a day, it was like, it was quite the transition, but oh my God, the best summer of my entire life. Best summer.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, and then you went there, you had this experience, and then you came back with the experience saying, now I know yachts.
Now
I know everything about yachts, so I can sell them.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's interesting. You didn't go into boat sales, did you?
I did. I went into boat sales.
Of course you did.
Of course.
Yeah, of course you did.
Natural transition.
You got trained on the boat, right?
Yep.
Someone pays you to get trained, and then she goes.
Yes, was
And then you
fishing
go into-
by herself, and then train on the boat, and then all this.
Yeah. So when I got back from the summer trip, again, I took like a month or two off and I did the West Coast. I did California, diving in California. I did diving in Mexico. I did hiking, all of that for like a couple weeks. And then I came back and I was like, all right, it is time to get serious. And that's when I got into
I feel like you've said this
sales.
7 times in your life, but go ahead, I'm listening.
And that's when yacht sales, it just was the natural transition. And I found Blue Oceans, which is a great company. And I needed like a mentorship program because I've never really worked in sales besides bartending. And it was kind of a great place to start because they only really hired experienced salespeople. And then I was like, hi, just give me a chance. I promise I'll work harder than anyone you know. And that's what I did. And they gave me a chance. And that's where I learned.
And how it
luxury
was
sales.
approached? Because for a lot of people, it's kind of a little difficult, right, to get
yeah.
hired like this.
It's very
How
difficult.
did you do to? How did you do
LinkedIn.
to do? LinkedIn.
I am very persistent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
How many times you send message to them?
David
or?
Frazier, I found him on LinkedIn, and
Okay.
he is a successful yacht sales. And my thing is,
Frazier's a big brand.
yeah, you're gonna go to the best. Okay, if you want to be the best, you're gonna follow the best. So I found David, and I was like, David, I will do whatever. I just want to learn from you. Like, can I just shadow you? Like, what can I do to learn? I want to get into luxury sales. And he gave me this opportunity. Took me under his wing a little bit, taught me a lot of in the industry.
He's the owner of the Blue. What's the name again?
He's the head yacht broker there, Blue Oceans.
Blue Oceans. So Blue Oceans. If you want to sponsor our show, we are waiting for you. We are doing a lot of advertising for you today.
Yeah, Frazier's getting a lot of love
I
today.
know.
Stay tuned. I'm gonna
tuned.
call. I'm gonna be as persistent as she is. Cool.
But
So
yeah.
that's great. So
Yeah,
they are the biggest yacht company here in
They're a
Florida.
pretty big company, but I would say Denison's the biggest.
Denison's
Denison's
okay.
amazing.
Yeah.
Bob Denison's
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay.
But that was like, they weren't hiring salespeople at the time. They were hiring assistants. And I was like,
Okay.
I don't want to be an assistant. I'm going for the.
I was a fisherwoman. I can be a sales.
Yeah, it was like, I don't need.
Why not?
I'm just going to jump straight in is what I did. Yeah.
That's,
And
I mean,
and
yeah,
loved
it's
it.
great. I mean, I think sometimes in life, they need someone to give you a shot.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That's what it is.
And you have to take like the risk
Yeah.
as well, because a lot of people, they feel afraid to get involved and take some risk. But if you're committed, if you really want to work hard in your mind, say, I can do it. But you have to have the discipline before, because if you don't have discipline, you don't believe in your own self.
I agree with that
to
too.
go there and
Yeah.
say, I can do it.
But there's a two-way street, right? Because, from the flip side, you have to look at Frazier and sort of, he's got to see something in you.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side of it, you're showing him that, like, listen, I'm not like everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
And I think in this world, this day and age, it's like so important to stand out. And I think coming back from it being instilled in you is like, you have to let people know that you will do whatever it takes. And I think just putting yourself out there, not a lot of people put themselves out there. So if you're one of those people, just do it, because it's going to come back tenfold. And it might be scary at the time, but if you just position yourself and say, listen, I will be the best at whatever I do, I think it's going to lead into great things.
But this is my point, right? Because at the end of the day, it's the chicken egg type of question, right? If you don't have this in yourself, it's difficult to go out there and say this, what
Yeah.
we're saying right now. I will do whatever it takes. Because for a lot of people, it's like, I'm good here in my comfort zone. I'm good here with my little salary. I'm good here with this. You understand? They don't have this vision or this, they're not hungry enough. You know, so to be have hunger in you, like to be developing, going for this.
Yeah.
I think it's very important. So how hungry you were to get those?
So hungry,
type-
hungry. And I think it can be a learned behavior. I think everyone's a product of their environment. And
Yes.
if you grow up comfortable and you're always comfortable, it's okay. But if you aren't, in my case, you just have that like just consistent drive to just be better. I think I think you can learn that. I think most of it's born, but I think it can be learned.
And I agree with you, because that's it's going to be a forever debate for people, right? So I'm born. I'm a product of the environment. So always a conflict in that.
Well, and it's interesting because we've had this conversation before, and we were talking about younger developing agents, right? And I'm going to segue the yacht sales into the real estate real quick. The trend I see in your life has been, and we haven't heard a lot of challenges. Yeah. It seems like everything you jump in full force,
I have tons.
but you succeed at it.
Yeah.
And the success that comes from it, I don't know if it comes from just being like, you say you learn from like pleasure and pain, right? And so in your life stories so far that we've experienced, it seems a lot of pleasure. And actually in some other people's lives that tell stories, you can learn from pain, right? Which is still a great motivator. What I'd love to know is, where did the challenge come from that you've kind of learned from, right? And I think from our listeners, from like a young agent perspective, there's a lot of agents out there that don't land in the keys, and they don't land on the, to a guy that shows them the ropes, and they have to kind of learn on their own, and they're the ones that are kind of teetering on giving up.
Yes.
And it seems like in your world, like every time you've tried to do something, it worked.
Yep.
And so you realize that like, well, gosh, this is easy. Whatever I do, I set my mind to it, I get it. And it turns into something amazing. Right. Yeah. And that's a great story.
But something that's very, very interesting, and circling back to this, is she was willing to sacrifice.
100%.
She was 100%. Willing to really do and go outside of her comfort zone, and even don't get paid nothing, because she was going to a different type of sales environment. I don't know, did you have a fixed salary, or it was commission based?
No, commission.
Yeah, but they made a lot of money though from before to kind of carry you over to Boca.
Yeah.
Right.
So thank God.
I know, but can you imagine the sacrifice and the mindset? Say, man, I will work for you for free, basically. Because it's commission based, right? I will work for you, and I'm gonna do everything for you, and you don't have any clue and any portfolio in the industry.
100%.
It's a big job.
There were times where I was
use
like,
that.
Oh my God, I have $300 in my bank account. Like, what am I gonna do now?
Okay, so that's what I want to know. So that's what I want to know, because you use this word a lot, and I love this word, scarcity, right? Like, you either work from abundance mindset or scarcity mindset, right? And that's a big thing that I've learned from you. And in your way, I love it, because I really feel like you're very abundance mindset.
Yes.
But I'd love to know where you were scarce in a part of your life that someone could have went the other way.
Yeah. So from a young age, so my mom died when I was 8. Okay. So that, I think, that situation alone, I think it can go two ways for people. I think you look at life and you're like, well, this is the card I was dealt and this is it. Or you're like, okay, look at this situation, and it just makes you this unbelievably strong person. And I think I went one way.
I love that.
Yeah. And I think that plays into my daily life every day. It's like, that's why I think I'm so confident and I'm so positive, because other people look at situations and then they maybe look at them at a negative way. I'm like, I've already beat the worst thing that you could do.
Correct.
And I've already overcame it.
That's what I wanted to know.
So having siblings?
That's what I want to know.
I do, yeah. So I have.
Did you approach the same situation differently or the same way?
We're very, very different. My sister's very structured. She worked for CBRE in New York City. She went the corporate route. She's here now. I brought her here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She's here now. But yeah, we're very different in that sense. And I think I've always been passion driven, where she's always been comfortability driven. And, she's been comfortable and
certainty versus.
Exactly. And I'm like, sure, I'll work the commission job where you don't know when your next paycheck is coming. And sometimes it's like, oh my God, I better figure it out. Because like with yachting, it did not come, it wasn't right away. I was working for free. And there got to a point where I was like, oh my God, like I better make a sale, or I better do something, because I have $300 in my bank account right now. So
do you think that, and I don't want to, dwell on a painful moment, but you learned a lesson from the passing of your mother, and I'm sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay.
But what I think about that is that you learned that life is short in a weird way, and you chose to choose a lifestyle that was going to be fulfilling to you.
Exactly.
And I really think your dad embraced that behind you as well too, which is really cool. So you've had great parents.
Exactly. And yeah, with him, it's like, when that situation did happen, he could have gone down a black hole. We see it.
Closed you in.
Exactly. Yeah. And instead of that, it's always been, maybe we don't have to follow the norm. Maybe, I never fit in. I was never like, oh my God, the popular girl or this. Like, I was always kind of the awkward.
I can't understand that.
The awkward, lanky, like swimmer who just like nerdy, sporty girl. Like, I was never like the popular one.
How big was your father in this process? Like into your mind, or into your, approach and into the situation? Because I think, you have to have a lot of your father in some way.
Oh yeah. I am so lucky, because I wake up to a text every morning like, go kill it, kid. I'm so proud of you. Like,
love that.
It's like amazing. And I'm so lucky for that situation. I know a lot of people don't have that. And I'm so lucky for that, because it is like a constant motivator. And it's constant, like, just make him proud every day. No matter what I do, I have to make him proud. And it's just always been like that because she's my rock.
Do you fall on that when you do have those moments where you have $300 in your bank account?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. He is like, I'll just call him crying and he already knows like what's happening. And I'm like, everything's fine, Dad. And he'll like, I know in your tone what's wrong. And I'm like, oh my God, it's the worst day ever. Oh, so yeah, oh my God. And I will say I've been very independent from the start. So I love my dad, would, appreciate his help, but I'd never ask. I never want to ask for help. I've always done everything on my own, even from high school. I was not an allowance girl. I was not, you know what I mean? We were okay, but we weren't rich. Like it was never like let me help you or pay for your college. No, it was like, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to do everything on my own. And that's how it's always been. So when I would call him, hey, I have $300 in my bank account. Like I better make a sale. He's like, you're going to make the sale. And I'm like, there we go.
Not here's some money.
Yeah, you're going to make the sale.
Pull up your britches.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah. He's very like loving and amazing. But then there is an aspect of tough love where it's like, I think he believes in me even more so than I do. So it's like, you're going to figure it out. You're going to make it happen.
A lot of people think that challenging times and difficult times build strong people. Do you think it applies to you a little bit in this situation of your mother and the situation with your father? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think that situation opened my mind to me thinking there's no limit in life. I think a lot of people limit themselves to this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm making, or this is how I'm going to live my life. I have no limit. That's why I love that. Somebody calls me and, let's go here and do this. And I'm like, well, why not? When else am I going to do this again? Like,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm lucky in the sense that I'm very open-minded and very free. And I don't limit myself to things I can do.
So how do you apply that to what you do now in real estate? Because, you've done some amazing, you've kind of done some dream jobs, right? Yachting, spearfishing, making money of spearfishing, in luxurious locations, right?
Oh, yeah.
But now you're in this grind, right? You're in this, which is it's a cool grind.
It is.
It's got some freedom to it.
We're lucky. Yeah.
We are lucky. We are lucky, but it does have its challenges. Because now we're dealing with complex people.
Oh yeah.
And you are like a light of life. So how do you handle, the person that's not going to be so rosy to a deal and to a transaction that, you ultimately get paid on, like you said?
Yeah, exactly. It's like now I'm working with, yachting was difficult. Yachting was very difficult because there's 2% of the world that need a yacht, and I was doing charters, doing like overseas charters, weeks in the Mediterranean. And the money just wasn't great, but I'm not money motivated. I liked what I was doing, meeting the right people. It was fun, but I'm realizing, oh my God, $300 in my bank account. Like, what am I going to do? And I guess that just naturally led into real estate because I was saying, I had a lot of people ask me, okay, I'm looking at buying this boat or I want to buy this boat. I don't know where to keep it. Is there a marina or is there a home I can keep it behind? And I'm like, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, there are many homes down here that you can keep it behind. And
right.
And
exactly.
that kind of naturally led into real estate where I was like trying to find, and like you said, with referring an amazing painter, you wanna make relationships with people that you feel comfortable referring.
Correct.
I didn't have a relationship with a real estate agent. I didn't know really anybody in that realm. And I was like, okay, I don't know anybody in the realm. I would refer a couple people through Google. I didn't really know what I was doing, but
obviously I was not doing my job at the time.
Yes.
I was barely
if you're listening, what Summer has pointed out is that I am not doing my job.
You were not.
Now I'm like, oh
you were not with the Real Stuff podcast, right? By the time,
right.
We should be calling more people.
Oh man.
But yeah, so then I was like, well, I'm going to create this for myself. Like, who better to refer than yourself?
But that confidence that you have came a little bit with some training as well, right?
Yes.
So you were selling ads, you have some training, sales training, and some little interesting characteristics and some very important things that you just mentioned. I was not driven by money. Of course, we don't want to have 200 or 300, I don't know, dollars in the bank account, but you were not driven by money. And also, I would like you to comment a little bit on this because I think this is a very strong characteristics of successful people, besides the discipline that you have, and the self-confidence. I would like to comment a little bit about this. And then after, if you can comment how it was having a sales training into the process to jump into this new industry.
Yeah, coming from Buffalo and then going to Key West, I didn't have that luxury background. And I couldn't really speak. It was hard to have conversations with these people who are talking about these intense politics or what's happening overseas or what's doing this. And I was finding myself like, okay, I can talk about general things. I'm great with science. I'm great with fishing. I'm great with lifestyle things. But like having these conversations with these people, I was like, oh no, like I don't know how to sell luxury. Like I don't know how to do it. And that was where it transitioned. Like, okay, wow, I was thinking I could sell yachts. Why can't I sell $30 million homes? Why can't I do that? Like this person probably needs that. Why can't I be the one to do it? And I think a lot of young agents when they're starting don't have the confidence to brand themselves in that direction. And I think that's where I was maybe different, is where I just shot for the top.
Now, did you go into a path of like trying to study the world of luxury, or did you just try to use your genuineness to cultivate relationships in a luxury setting and still kind of learn as you go?
Yeah, I think I'm very different in the sense is I'm not nervous to ask questions.
Good.
So like say I'm in a situation and this man is talking about something that's just blowing my mind and a lot of people, oh yeah, okay. I'll say, listen, I don't want to sound unintelligent, but I have no idea what you're talking about, but I would love to know. Like I'm very curious.
And being humble is a very good characteristic. Yeah. People really are forgiving with this.
Yeah.
And like wealthy people they are, and sometimes say, oh my gosh, I need to show so much stuff. Exactly. I need to show something that I mean not, right? Mm-hmm. So that's good opening.
Yeah, like they're talking about F1 racers or tennis match that they saw. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what these things. So I think in yachting and the difference I've noticed in the yachting industry versus real estate, yes, people can be ruthless, but yachting is even more ruthless.
Now, do you stick to what you know? Like, cause like, you do have a luxurious background in the water side of the world, right? So like, do you try to stay like in your lane with luxury so that it's kind of safe in a sense that, okay, I'm going to list luxury waterfront properties because I can talk water, I can talk boats, right?
Absolutely.
And you kind of get that you're in a common space with them at that point.
Yeah, and it's such a great thing to have because not a lot of people know the waterways or not a lot of people know, where to fish or what canal I can park my boat in. It's different. It's crazy here in Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
There's so many different depths of waterways. So I think that was a good transition into the real estate and the waterfront and just knowing that knowledge. And
it's interesting. And I'm gonna give you a plug because you're part of a great team. And you're at Sotheby's, which is a luxury brokerage. But when I have young agents on my team and we start to try to cultivate a strategy for where I direct them to help them try to get through this the beginning stages. I always say kind of fish where the fish are. I'll use a fishing reference for you, right? But it's if you're living out in Weston and you want to sell waterfront condominiums, it's probably not the best place to start, right?
Yeah.
So when you came into real estate, did you go towards something that you kind of gradually kind of understood, which was the waterway, kind of properties that I'm trying to steer us in a direction that if young agents are listening to you right now and saying, God, I want to be like Summer. Right. And I want to be on yachts and I want to be in China. But other than that, if I'm in real estate, where did she go to sort of, not say play it safe, because I don't think anything in your world is playing it safe, but where can they learn from you as a young agent of where you started out and your direction wise?
Oh yeah. So, I tried to reach out to my yacht connections. I tried to reach out at the time. The ship had sailed. Nobody was looking, or they had bought a home. Obviously COVID was hot. They bought the boat, they bought the home. And I'm there like, oh my God, I had this brilliant idea that I was going to call all of these people and they were going to trust me with their business and this brand new business that I'm in. And it didn't end up like that. And it was a difficult first start because I kind of was like, oh my God, like why did I do this? What am I doing? And then again, it clicked in like, why am I scared? I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make this happen. It doesn't matter. And actually social media and spearfishing is what really... Somebody one day called me and said, hi, do you do charters? And I said, no, I don't. I'm in real estate, whatever. And he's like, oh, you're in real estate. That's great. I actually have a property there that I own that I want to sell. Mm-hmm. And it was inland plantation. And I was like, oh my God, social media, thank God.
It works.
Yeah.
But even though that probably wasn't on the water, it was through the water, the love of water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's been where a lot of things have come from.
Right.
It's like you find something that you're so passionate in and your passion bleeds to other people and they're like, oh, how do I get into that? Or how do I do that? And that's spearfishing is really like.
And people can feel it, right? Because they can feel that you're not doing a transactional way. You are there to support them. because you have a passion. So they connect with your passion, and then from there you have the business.
But see, you know what? One thing, cool thing about Summer, and I'm going to compliment you, is that you do this so naturally, and you know, being on the other side, trying to be a mentor to young agents as well too. Like, it's hard to get them to understand what she's doing is so natural, right? Find something that you love or something that you do that you love, and use that as your opportunity to meet people and connect with more people. And there's a huge lesson in that.
Yeah.
And I commend you for it.
I will
awesome.
say, for new agents, it's hard. It's really hard. And especially, we're in South Florida, there's thousands of realtors, you know, and you go to a happy hour maybe by yourself and you want to meet somebody, and it's like, it's very intimidating. There's probably 10 other realtors sitting at the bar, but there's so many things you can do to set yourself apart. It's like, be the one to have the conversations, be the one to, you know, call yourself out on things, or, you know, it's like, just do anything you can to stand out. And I think that's where a lot of the young agents, they are nervous. And I was nervous when I first started. People would ask me real estate questions, and I would say, oh yeah, the market's great. Oh, you know, I just didn't know. And that's where knowledge is power in real estate is.
But everybody can tell you that.
Yeah, exactly.
You can pull it up. I just pulled it up on the phone, right?
Exactly.
So you can know the same stuff I know, but I don't know spearfishing.
Yeah.
And I don't know yachting, you know.
But besides that was a little bit the training, right, in sales that was very important for you to get to jump into this, right?
Exactly.
Because if people did, like, that's why, like, you mentioned a little bit for this the Blue Ocean, you know, they have this structured sales training that put you in a little bit in an extrovert mode and help you a little bit manage this, right? The way that you go outside, because you have to be outgoing, man. It's not easy sometimes. If you have a passion, it's easier.
Yeah.
Okay. But even if you have a passion, you still have to know how to project yourself outside and how to speak from your heart.
Right. Because if you just spoke yoga, then you wouldn't have the extension to understand how to bridge that between something else that you're trying to bring the two together. I totally agree with you.
That's the point. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about this, because how helpful it is to really put yourself and, you know, and try it out into a structure.
Because you just said nobody was buying or selling from you, and all of a sudden somebody picks up the phone and you find this water connection that gets your property out west.
And my thing is like, I've had so many times where I've been, you know, beaten down, and I think it's all about how you pick yourself up. So at the beginning of real estate, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be really hard. Like this is I'm in for it. Like, no money's coming in right now. Like, I better, and everyone's saying like, well, you better have 6 months saved. You better, and my whole mentality, my whole life has been, well, whatever. If I have to pick up a second job, I will. If I have to pick up a third job, I've worked 3 jobs at a time before.
I mean, like, you have a skill. You just go out to the ocean and just spearfish a wahoo and just sell that for $2,000, right? I'm missing that skill set.
So like, I'm not afraid to fail. I've done it plenty of times. And I think a lot of people talk about their failures and then how it brought them up. And I've had many failures, but to me, I don't even think about them. I just move on, and it is what it is. So in real estate, and you're starting out, it's like, you're going to have nothing but failures probably. But that one little traction that you catch, you're going to see what's happening, and you're going to see the deal, and you're going to be like, wow, okay, I can do this again, and I can do this again, and I can do this again. So maybe, you know, I found the person on social media. So I'm like, okay, social media is great. That's where I really need to like ramp up social media. Say you meet somebody at yoga, right? Then you're going to go to yoga more, and you're going to talk to people more, and that's going to be your hub. So it's important to find, you know, a connection for yourself and see where it takes you, because people are everywhere, and real estate's everywhere.
I agree.
So just talking about it and just being genuine about it, not money motivated. Because
there's 2 ways to approach marketing and business, right? One way is like let go outside and try to look for. Let me chase, right? Let me the hunter.
Yes.
And there is the other way of marketing, which is being the sales magnet or the connection magnet. Probably we are all a combination of them, right? We have to do a little bit of hunting, but we should do as well some stuff that will be a magnet. So for me is, I don't know, creating this podcast, right? I'm not chasing for realtors right now. They're going to start chasing for me in the future. You understand? Because I'm pulling them into my direction. What you have to say a little bit, spearfishing being your like lead magnet, you know, your opportunity magnet, and a little bit some ways that you do this way, some other ways that you become the hunter and you go there and you chase like deals. Tell me a little bit the difference between two. If you do both, I don't know, eventually you are only the lead magnet. You don't need to hunt anymore.
Yeah,
you never know.
That would be amazing. Right. But as a new agent, we know prospecting is so important. And I do the cold calls. Haven't done the door knocking yet because that's still a next level of intimidation. But yeah, it's you need to go out and prospect every day, whether it's going to a happy hour or reaching out to people who fish. That's what I do.
That's good.
I try to reach out and make it organic. Wow, that's an amazing fish. Just make yourself present.
Now you threw out some names, Frazier, Bob Dennison. Shout out to Bob.
Shout out to Bob.
You've got this other world of the yachting world. Are you exploring that as well too?
Yeah. So that's my new thing. So when I first started, it was really like, I guess I focused so much on learning the field. Like I'm a studier. So I would study and I would learn about investing and I would learn about, okay, well, how would an investor do this? Because I'm going to be working with them. Or how would this? And I think I spent so much time spinning my wheels on the learning aspect where now I'm like, no, I just need to do. Like I just have to do because that's how you learn.
That's great.
And I was lucky to, have a lot of deals my first year and a lot of learning my first year in that sense as well. But now I'm getting into the prospecting. And yeah, you have to go out there and you have to do it yourself, and it's not easy. And you're going to have days where you get home and you're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? But that should be the next kick in the butt for tomorrow.
I love that. I love that.
Besides this, I think having a good mentor is also very important, right?
Oh, yeah.
And when we were talking, you were mentioning a little bit about your mentor, right?
Yes.
So how it facilitates your life, and you even mentioned one transaction that he saved your ass, right?
Oh yeah,
in the process. Can you mention a little bit how important it is to have a good mentor and to look for it, and to not get shy to shoot sometimes very high, the way that you have done, right?
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. It's like same. Again, I reached out to Chad on Instagram, and I was like, Chad, I know nothing. Please help me. There's no way I can get into Sotheby's. This is what I want to do. And he sat down with me and he said, you have a lot of energy. I can see that. And I can see you have a lot of energy. I was actually working a social media job at the time too. So I was working, 15 hours a day. And he was like, how are you going to fit real estate into that? And I was like, listen, I'll make it work. I always do. And it stuck with me when I met with him. And this was right, I think, as I was getting my license. And he said, you definitely can be a Sotheby's agent. I see it in you, but you need to hone in on something. Whether you want to hone in on social media or you want to hone in on yachting or you want to hone in on real estate, but you got to bring this energy into one thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it all. Like, that's what I do. And I was doing both yachting and real estate when I first started. And then it solely became real estate because I realized all of this energy, it's like, you need to put it in. Yes, I can use yachting as maybe a referral business and I can, speak to yachting and I can speak to waterfront homes and I know yachting. But if I really want to be great at something, like I need to hone in on the one thing, and it was real estate.
And that's cool. Yeah. Something that we say in general in yoga is like, when you do yoga for so long or for enough time, you don't do yoga anymore. You become yoga. It's very interesting because in general, you have to practice the breathing techniques, practice a little bit the postures and, the exercise and the meditation. But once you do a lot for a specific period of time, you become it. So you breathe already like this. Don't need to do the breathing anymore. You're already breathing the way that the yoga.
It's natural.
It's become natural. So a little bit for this, right? You have to do a time for your to become a realtor, right? So you have to do a little time investing on that and be searching and going out there and having conversations and stuff. And it was your process, right? With Chad and so he waked you up for this, right?
Yeah, I always say to people, Jay obviously is a mentor, an amazing mentor. As a new real estate agent, that's the most important part of the business. Yeah, you might not be taking as much money that you thought home the first year or the 2 years or however your split would be with a mentor, but the most important part of being a new agent is learning from somebody. Because exactly. So many people join these online brokerages, 100% commission. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. But oh my God, I would have had no idea how to do a deal. No idea. You wouldn't even know how to speak the world of real estate if I didn't learn from somebody. And I'm that person. I'll ask every question 10 times through until I'm like, wait, I completely forgot. What do I put in this line? And I think that's so important.
I think that for you too, I think that you have something is you really know yourself. And I think that like I said before, a lot of agents, young agents come in here and they jump into real estate and they kind of lose themselves. And then they kind of try to figure out real estate. And then what real estate really is about connecting. So they lose that path. And you have this great background. And I think what really makes you very successful is that you're able to connect those things together pretty quickly. And I think that's what's going to make you successful, above the rest of the young agents that come here, is if you can stay on that path and really figure out the way to keep marrying those two together and not keep them apart, that's going to ultimately take you to the next level.
Exactly. And a lot of young agents don't even see that they have, ways that they can connect personally with people. And I'll say, okay, well, don't you do this? Well, yeah, I do that. Okay, that's a great connection. Like that, use that to your advantage in any way that you can. Working out, you go to the gym, just simple things that, you might not think, because real estate can be so overwhelming. It's so overwhelming. But I think just breaking it down to the most simple, plain basics is like the best way to do it.
What's the future? Where's the future Summer going to be?
Ultra luxury.
Ultra luxury, yeah? Yeah?
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Once again, I saw her eye gleam again when she's...
Ultra luxury.
Not just luxury, ultra luxury. I love it.
And what is your plan for that? Because everyone can come here and say, I would like to do ultra luxury, but how are we going to do it? How are we going to make it? Besides doing, I would do it. But do you have a plan?
Yes.
Or not?
So I think Fort Lauderdale is now getting into the ultra luxury market, where we haven't seen that in the years past. And obviously I'm new to real estate, so this is just like, I haven't seen it personally on Zillow in the years past. But
That was yesterday.
yesterday, I noticed.
I'm still doing the timeline, by the way, and I've just noticed, you were saying pre-COVID, and now you're running out. All right.
So yeah, I think it's really just connecting with people on a personal level and networking in the right places. And it's hard. Don't get me wrong. Some days you have 15 showings in a row, and then you do it again the next day. And then you have in your mind, like, oh, I said I was going to go to this event that I should network at, but you get home and you're like, I'm paralyzed. We all go through that, but I think it's just realizing your first couple of years are your most important years. And it's, planting the seeds now for the future. And that's all I'm trying to do, is just get my name out there.
Do you think, Summer, that, and we had a conversation about this, about, if I go back in time before you were in real estate, luxury real estate 5 years ago, 4 years ago, if you sold $1 million home, you were considered a luxury agent.
Oh, yeah.
And COVID did something kind of crazy with our market, where now young agents like yourself that are coming into our market, they're getting their first listings, and they're $4 million, $5 million, sometimes $10 million listings, right? What is that like for you when you get a listing like that? And do you think that it's a good thing that young agents that are coming in here will get something like this, and then maybe never sell anything again for the rest of the year, because you said it's been a very difficult market.
Oh yeah, it's difficult right now, but I think
is there a false sense? Is what I'm looking
for. It's good and bad, because it kind of gives you it gives you the vision of what can happen. It shows you what can happen in the future. But I think a lot of people see that and then they get lazy, because if your first deal is $1 million and you're like, oh, what? This is so easy. Like,
right.
And you're learning through the process, and you figure it out and you do the deal. And then maybe you have somebody come into the open house and then they want to buy $1 million home, and you think it's this like easy, like the past couple of years, I obviously wasn't in it, but I've heard it's just been this easy field. Well, now we're seeing it where a lot of these agents didn't put the time in, and they didn't prospect, and they a lot of things fell into their lap, and now it's really, really hard, and they might not have saved money, or they might not have. And I feel for them, because maybe they didn't have a great mentor that told them, like, it's not always like this, trust me. Or maybe they were on their own, or maybe they did have a great mentor, but they just took it for granted, because I know the younger generation, it's quick money. Everyone wants the quick money, and it's not the long play. So I think a lot of agents are kind of transitioning out, because it's not easy, but it can be good, because you see that. It just depends on how you use it. You see that and you're like, wow, like this is what I can do. Like I can change my life with a couple deals. So let me run with this. So I think it could be good or bad.
That's great. It's great advice.
That's pretty cool, guys. So we are here at the Real Stuff Show with our last words, Summer. We have finalized the show. Thank you very much. How can we find you?
Amazing.
I have Instagram.
Okay.
Summer Sawaya, just my name, or summersawaya.realestate, whichever one you're interested in.
Go to Summer Sawaya to check out some really cool fish, by the way.
Yeah. Go to my personal page. You'll see a little bit of everything on there.
Yeah. Summer, one of the things that we love to do when we close out a show is ask our guest, who would you recommend that we bring on the Real Stuff Show? Because
would you think have a great story and someone very interesting?
This is your chance to elevate somebody that you know,
appreciate someone that you love.
Okay, I would say Rick Smith.
Rick Smith.
He is on the Chad Bishop group, but he is also new to real estate, but has different look on everything, because he used to be in the musical field. I'll let him tell you about it, but he was with Aerosmith and Whitney Houston. And so he has an incredible story. And kind of just this crazy, wild story. And now he's in real estate. So he'll have kind of like a different view on it.
Love that.
He's older.
Love that.
So I think that'll be a fun one.
Okay.
That's great. Jay, last words for the sponsor for today?
You know, just once again, I'd just like to thank the Captain Painters, because listen, without the Captain Painter, we would be in a short supply of quality painting worker in this community. So make sure that you talk to the Captain Painter about their guarantee, which every deal that the Captain Painter does for you, they will guarantee their work 100% before they actually will ask for the money for the job.
Okay, guys, so see you